It's over, guys. Caitlin Clark is mentally checked out. She's done. She's done. She's done with Stephanie White. She's done with Stephanie White. Look at this here. This is a player that is mentally done. Stephanie White, congratulations. You have mentally defeated Caitlin Clark. She's done.
Basketball fans, buckle up, because what unfolded on the Indiana Fever bench wasn't just another frustrating moment during a tough season. It wasn't just a routine coaching decision, and it definitely wasn't the kind of disagreement that gets forgotten after the final buzzer. What happened during Indiana's matchup against Portland has sparked one of the biggest debates of the season, and fans everywhere are demanding answers. Welcome back to Street Hoops, the home of basketball drama, deep analysis, and the stories everyone is talking about. I'm Dre Fiber, and today we're breaking down a situation that has Fever fans completely divided. Because when the cameras zoomed in on the sideline, something fell off. And the more people watched the game, the more questions they started asking. Let's talk about it. Coming into this matchup, Indiana desperately needed momentum. The season has been filled with ups and downs, flashes of brilliance mixed with frustrating stretches that have left fans searching for consistency. This game felt important, not just because of the standings, but because it was another opportunity for the Fever to show they could compete at a high level. And early on, everything seemed to be working. Indiana exploded out of the gate. The energy inside the arena was electric. The ball was moving. The defense was active. Players were cutting with purpose. Everything looked sharp. Within minutes, the Fever had built an early advantage and appeared completely in control. At the center of it all was Caitlin Clark. From the opening tip, she looked comfortable, confident, in command. She was creating opportunities, pushing the pace, and making the offense flow. In just a few short minutes, she had already contributed points, assists, and rebounds while helping Indiana establish the tone of the game. Every possession seemed connected. Every player appeared engaged. Most importantly, the team looked dangerous. Fans watching the game could feel it. The Fever had rhythm. And in basketball, rhythm is everything. That's why what happened next caught so many people by surprise. Suddenly, the momentum changed. A substitution was made. Clark headed to the bench. Now, basketball substitutions happen every game. Every coach manages minutes. Every star player gets rest. That's normal. But because of the way Indiana had started, and because of how effective Clark looked during those opening minutes, the move immediately became a talking point among fans. Social media lit up almost instantly. Viewers questioned the timing. They questioned the strategy. And they questioned whether taking one of the team's most influential players off the floor at that moment was the right decision. The comparisons started flooding in. Fans began bringing up some of basketball's biggest legends. They argued that when a superstar is controlling the pace of a game and helping fuel an early run, most coaches prefer to ride that momentum. The logic is simple. If something is working, why interrupt it? Of course, coaching decisions are rarely that simple. There are factors fans don't always see. Minute restrictions, rotation plans, matchup considerations, long-term strategy. All of those things matter. But perception matters too. And from the perspective of many viewers, the substitution felt like it disrupted Indiana's flow. As the game continued, the conversation only grew louder. Every missed opportunity, every offensive drought, every momentum swing seemed to add fuel to the debate. Was the team maximizing its strengths? Was the offense putting players in the best position to succeed? And perhaps most importantly, was Indiana fully taking advantage of the unique impact that Clark brings to the floor? Those questions have followed the Fever all season. This game simply brought them back into the spotlight. What makes the situation especially fascinating is that it goes beyond one possession, one quarter, or even one game. It's really about expectations. When a player enters the league with historic attention, breaks records at an unprecedented pace, and becomes one of the most recognizable faces in professional basketball, every decision involving that player is going to be scrutinized. Every substitution becomes a discussion. Every coaching choice becomes a headline. Every interaction gets analyzed frame by frame. That's the reality of modern sports. And that's exactly what happened here. Some fans defended the coaching staff, arguing that managing a season requires difficult decisions, and that no player can stay on the floor forever. Others believe the Fever should be doing everything possible to keep their superstar involved when the offense is clicking. Both sides made passionate arguments. But regardless of where people stand, one thing is impossible to deny. The spotlight on Indiana has never been brighter. Every game feels bigger. Every storyline travels faster. And every decision creates another wave of discussion. As the Fever continue fighting through the season, the pressure will only increase because expectations are enormous. The talent is undeniable, and fans want answers. Did the coaching staff make the right call? Was the timing unfortunate? Or is this another example of a larger issue that continues to frustrate supporters? Those are the questions basketball fans are debating right now, and judging by the reaction online. This conversation isn't ending anytime soon. It's only getting started. And then came the moment that changed everything. Just as Indiana appeared to be finding its rhythm, Stephanie White made a decision that immediately left fans confused, commentators questioning, and social media exploding. She pulled both Caitlin Clark and Aaliyah Boston from the game at the exact same time. The two players who had helped establish Indiana's early momentum were suddenly sitting on the bench together. And the reaction inside the arena was immediate. People were stunned. The Fever had looked organized, aggressive, and confident. Then, in a matter of seconds, the entire identity of the offense disappeared. Many fans viewed it as more than a simple substitution. They saw it as a decision that completely disrupted the team's flow at the worst possible moment. Whether you agree or disagree with that assessment, one thing is undeniable. The game changed almost immediately afterward. Analysts and fans quickly began breaking down the sequence online. One prominent commentator criticized the rotation strategy, arguing that Indiana appeared to be rotating players as if they were dealing with severe fatigue despite entering the game in a much different situation. The numbers raised eyebrows. Multiple substitutions, constant lineup changes, a lack of continuity, and before long, Portland took advantage. The moment Clark and Boston exited, the Fire sensed an opportunity. They attacked relentlessly. What had been a promising Indiana start suddenly turned into a nightmare. Portland unleashed a dominant scoring run, possession after possession. The momentum shifted. The Fever reserves struggled to generate offense. Defensive mistakes began piling up. Confidence started fading. By the time Clark returned to the floor, the scoreboard looked completely different. Indiana's lead was gone. Portland was in control, and the energy inside the building had changed dramatically. Fans could feel it. Players could feel it. Everyone watching could feel it. What had started as a strong opening quarter suddenly felt like a team scrambling to recover. After the game, questions about the rotation strategy became impossible to avoid. Stephanie White explained that certain lineup decisions were influenced by player management considerations and existing rotation plans. She pointed to factors that had guided similar decisions in previous games and emphasized that the coaching staff was following a larger strategy. But many fans weren't satisfied. They looked at the timing. They looked at the results. And they wondered whether the substitutions had done more harm than good. That's where the frustration started reaching a boiling point. Because for many supporters, this wasn't just about one game. It was about a pattern. A growing concern that Indiana still hasn't fully figured out how to maximize its biggest stars at critical moments. And when expectations are as high as they are for this franchise, every coaching decision gets placed under a microscope. The debate grew louder online throughout the night. Some defended the coaching staff. Others demanded major changes. But everyone seemed to agree on one thing. The Fever had let an opportunity slip away. And then came the second part of the controversy, the officiating. Now, whenever referees become part of the conversation, emotions tend to run high. Fans from every team believe calls are missed. Players get frustrated. Coaches get angry. That's nothing new. But many viewers felt there was a larger pattern developing throughout this game. They pointed to several sequences involving Caitlin Clark where they believed physical contact was being called inconsistently. Every whistle became a topic of debate. Every defensive possession was scrutinized, and every close call sparked another wave of discussion across social media. Supporters argued that Clark often finds herself under intense defensive pressure because opposing teams recognize the impact she has on the game. As one of the league's biggest stars, she naturally attracts enormous attention from both defenders and fans. That reality creates an environment where nearly every interaction is analyzed frame by frame. Whether those officiating concerns are justified or not, they became a major storyline coming out of the game. By the final buzzer, the conversation had expanded far beyond the actual result. It wasn't just about wins and losses anymore. It was about coaching decisions, player usage, officiating, team identity, and the growing pressure surrounding a franchise that entered the season with championship expectations. The Fever still have time to turn things around, but after what happened against Portland, the spotlight has become brighter than ever, because every game now feels bigger, every decision feels more important, and every controversy seems to generate another wave of questions that refuse to go away. And this is where the controversy truly exploded, because for many Fever fans, the conversation wasn't just about substitutions anymore. It was about officiating. Throughout the game, frustration continued building every time a whistle seemed to go against Caitlin Clark. Social media immediately lit up with clips, screenshots, and slow-motion replays as fans debated whether some of the foul calls were justified. The first major flashpoint came early. Portland attacked the basket aggressively, forcing Indiana's defense into a difficult position. Clark recognized the drive instantly and appeared to back away while attempting to maintain legal defensive positioning. From one angle, it looked like she was trying to avoid initiating contact altogether. From another, it was a bang-bang play happening at full speed. But before anyone could fully process what happened, the whistle sounded. Foul. The crowd reacted. The Fever bench reacted. And Clark's reaction immediately became one of the most discussed moments of the game. She looked stunned. Her arms shot upward. She glanced toward the scoreboard replay as if searching for an explanation. The expression on her face said everything. Whether fans agreed with the call or not, there was no question she disagreed with it. The replay only fueled the debate. Supporters pointed to the apparent space between Clark and the offensive player and argued that she had done everything possible to avoid illegal contact. Critics countered that officials often see angles and body positioning differently in real time than viewers do on television. But the controversy wasn't going away, and what happened next only intensified the discussion. Many fans expected Indiana's coaching staff to challenge the ruling. Instead, play continued. No challenge came. No lengthy argument with officials followed. The game moved forward. That decision quickly became part of a larger conversation. Some supporters believed a challenge would have sent a message that the team was willing to fight for its star player. Others argued that coaches must be selective with challenges and save them for critical moments later in the game. Either way, the reaction online was immediate. The debate was growing. Then came another whistle, another defensive sequence, another moment that left Fever fans frustrated. Once again, Portland attacked aggressively. Once again, Clark found herself involved in the play. And once again, officials ruled against Indiana. Suddenly, Clark found herself dealing with foul trouble far earlier than anyone expected. For a player whose impact extends across every area of the game, that's significant. Foul trouble changes everything. It affects defensive aggression. It affects rotations. It affects confidence. And perhaps most importantly, it changes how a player approaches every possession moving forward. The television cameras captured Clark repeatedly looking toward the bench and toward the court officials. The frustration was visible. The emotions were impossible to ignore. At the same time, cameras frequently showed Stephanie White monitoring the action from the sideline. Every replay seemed to create another wave of online discussion. Should a challenge have been used? Should the coaching staff have pushed back harder? Was the officiating consistent? Was it simply a difficult game to referee? Those questions dominated basketball conversations long after the final buzzer sounded. What makes situations like this so complicated is that perception often becomes as powerful as reality. When fans believe a player is receiving unfavorable whistles, every future call gets viewed through that lens. Every replay becomes evidence. Every decision becomes controversial. And every whistle becomes another reason for frustration to grow. By the middle stages of the game, the atmosphere surrounding the Fever bench felt noticeably different. The early confidence had been replaced by visible tension. Players appeared frustrated. Fans were frustrated. And social media was moving at full speed. Regardless of where someone stands on the individual calls, one thing is undeniable. The officiating became a major storyline. Not because everyone agreed, but because nobody could stop talking about it. And when questions about coaching decisions collide with questions about officiating, the result is almost always the same. A storm of controversy that completely overshadows the basketball itself. That's exactly what happened here. By the end of the night, the conversation was no longer just about wins, losses, or box scores. It had become a debate about trust, leadership, accountability, and whether the Fever's biggest star was getting the support she needed during one of the most frustrating games of the season. And this is where emotions really started boiling over. Because for many Fever fans, the frustration wasn't only about the whistles anymore. It was about what happened after the whistles. Fair or unfair, right or wrong. Fans want to see their leaders stand behind their players. They want to see coaches fighting for calls, challenging decisions, and showing visible support when emotions are running high. That's why so many viewers focus their attention on the Fever bench. Every replay shown on the arena scoreboard seemed to create another wave of reactions. Every close call generated another round of debate online. And with every controversial moment, fans began asking the same question. Was enough being done to support the team's biggest star? Whether that criticism is justified or not, the perception became part of the story. Because perception drives conversation in modern sports. The more the game progressed, the more viewers felt that Portland